Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com. The video game is World of Tanks. This video is about how to train the skills on your crew members to get the most skills and the highest skill levels in the shortest amount of time. One technique that helped me out greatly for crew training was to buy a lot of premium tanks that were the same type so they could all share the same crew. You'll notice I have 6 German tank destroyers, and they do share the crew from 2 different tanks. However, they've done an excellent job leveling up my crew. You can see that it's up to 96% on the 4th skill. And it was only a few months ago, it was maybe 3 months ago, I was getting up to the 4th skill, and now that 4 months have passed, I'm going to be getting up to the 5th skill with this particular crew member. So what I did was I played my premium tanks and I made this line a priority. My German tank destroyers were a priority because I wanted to level up those crew members, and they leveled up very quickly. The other thing that I did was I used a feature over here called the primary label, and I set tanks to be primary if they had 5 or 6 crew members. When you have more crew members, you're training more people. If I only had 3, it would take me twice as long to train that crew as compared to a tank that has 6. They don't share the crew experience. If you earn 1,000 crew experience, everybody gets 1,000. They don't split it. So having more crew members means you're leveling up more people. I use the accelerated crew training as often as possible, and sometimes I would pay to convert free EXP, which gives you a great bonus. However, it's very expensive. Another example are my Russian heavy tanks. I have 5 premium Russian heavy tanks, which allowed me to level up those crew members very quickly, even though I do have them on 2 different heavy tanks, the T10 and the IS-4. But I did get up to 91% on my commander for the T10 on the 4th skill and 93 on the IS-4 for the gunner. I did many of the personal missions, the campaign missions, to win tanks like the Stug 4 and the T-28 heavy tank concept. And as a reward, you get female crew members. And they are mostly on my French tanks. The reason why was because France was one of the newer tech trees, which means I hadn't advanced through the tech tree, which means that my crew didn't have a lot of skills, so I put them in there. The advantage is that you get the first skill for free, which is BIA, or they call it Sisterhood of Steel. But when you get up to the higher levels, I'm on the T55A, they give you more than one. You get BIA plus another 1 or 2 skills for free. So even though these are on the 4th skill, in reality, I think they're only on the 2nd. You see, it's 228 games on the 4th skill with 228 games. Now here's an example of a crew member that I won on the T55A. She is going into my AMX-30B, which is a new branch, which means it needs its own crew. You'll notice she only fought 29 battles. However, she's got 3 skills, 76% on the 3rd skill. Because when I won it, they gave me the Sisterhood of Steel plus another skill for free, and then I get the 3rd skill at 0 battles. So this one actually included 2 free skills with the crew member, which is why the personal missions are really, really valuable. These crew members will level up very quickly. I have a lot of tanks that came with what's called a 0 skill BIA crew member, which means that they get 1 skill for free, BIA. And some tanks included it. The Berlin Quartet is an example. I bought those 4 tanks, which included the IS-2, the Rudy, the Cromwell, and an ISU. And all the crew members had the first skill for free. So if you look at my lieutenant here, he's on the fourth skill at 82%, and the loader is on the fourth skill at 71%. However, the lieutenant with the 82% has played less games than the loader here, which is why he's highlighted for accelerated crew training. It's because he is a special crew member where BIA is included for free. So when I reset it to 0%, he's on his second skill already. He's played fewer games to get up to the fourth skill. He's going to get up to the fifth skill a lot faster than these other players are. He might get to 100% faster than the 93 and the 91 of these other two crew members. And that is because he is a zero skill BIA crew member, much like the female crew members that you win in the campaign missions. They're very valuable. I do have a large number of them, around 30 of them. Here's another example. You see that the loader here has 4 skills at 79%, and the radio operator has 4 skills at 27%, which is a lot lower. 4 skills at 27%. However, he's played fewer battles. The loader has played fewer battles, but he has a higher skill rating. That's because he is a zero skill BIA crew member. They're very valuable, and they're only included with some tanks. The Berlin Quartet definitely includes them. I don't remember the other tanks that I purchased that have them, but I know that there were other tanks that I bought that do have them. The commander has an option for a crew skill called Mentor, which gives you a 10% bonus for crew experience for the rest of the crew members every game, whether you win or you lose. And at one time, it was one of the best bonuses you could get. 10% whether you win or lose was a great bonus, considering a lot of the other bonuses are only 5% or 2%. However, because of personal reserves and premium tanks and 5 times victories and all those other things, Mentor really has a very small impact on crew skills, and that's why I don't really recommend it anymore, but you could use it if you wanted to. There is an option that says increase, quick training. It's not a permanent feature. Sometimes they have it and sometimes they take it away, so don't expect it to always be there. And with this option, you can increase your skill using your free experience. And it's actually really worth it. There is a proper way to use it and an improper way. For example, I can use 5,355 to increase him. You get a 5 times multiplier, so it's worth 25,000 EXP. However, the 25,000 EXP will have a bigger impact on your first skill than it will on the fourth skill. If I do it on the fourth skill, it's only going to go up from 91% to 92%. But if I do it on the first skill, it might go up from 0% to 50%. So I'm going to do an example calculation. Over here, you can see with this crew member, it will go from 91% to 92%. This particular crew member is currently at 51% on the first skill. He can increase to 69%. That's an increase of 18%, 18 points. And therefore, this free experience, the 5,684, has a bigger impact on crew members that have fewer skills. So I recommend you use it on those crew members. Another issue about the crew skill mentor is that it's more beneficial when you have fewer skills. And the reason why is because when you have fewer skills like 1, you want to get the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth, so you need to advance it. But if all of your crew have 5 skills, you don't need any more. So having mentor isn't going to earn you anything, and it will earn everything very slowly. So mentor is less useful when you have more skills, and it's more useful when you have fewer skills. There are some features of the game whether it's BIA or vents or food consumables, that enhance your overall performance in the game. And I've read that they do impact your commander's ability when he has mentor to provide more crew experience to the rest of the crew. So that is something that you might also want to be aware of. Under the Missions tab, you're going to find lots of different bonuses that can help you level up your crew. For example, there's a 2 times crew experience weekend, which is 4 days long for Labor Day, that will give you a 2 times bonus on your crew experience. And here's another example. Destroy 2 lights or SPG, and you get a combat experience coefficient of 1.3, which also increases your crew experience. In order for your crew to earn experience to the optimal effect, they have to survive the battle without injuries, without being killed. If they are injured or if they die, they receive less crew experience, or they may receive no crew experience. So if you really want to make sure that your crew does get the most experience per battle, you can use your first aid kit to treat your injured crew members at the end of the battle or throughout the battle, and you'll get the extra bonus at the end of the battle. There's a feature with some tanks, they're called either premium tanks or elite tanks, that you'll see right here. It says accelerate crew training. And what this does is it gives double the experience to the crew member who has the least amount of experience at the end of the battle. And it is very useful. It helps the ones that are lagging behind, it helps them catch up to your other crew members, and eventually over time they'll all even out. Not available on every tank, but it is very useful, and I do use it. When you do use this, it's going to not give you the combat experience, so you're not going to get the combat experience. The combat experience is something that you build up that you can convert to free experience if you pay for it. So this is the free way of using your combat experience. So there's another feature called combat experience I'm going to show you in the tech tree. You'll notice that, for example, this AMX has 40,128 combat experience. It's listed at the top of the chart, and it's also next to the icon for the tank. You'll see that the AMX 5100 has combat experience. The Bat Chat does. That combat experience is pending, and the reason why, I use all of mine, so I'm not going to find one that has any available. You'll note that my Tiger P has 21 available. And that combat experience can be converted. You can see here on the list. I converted mine a long time ago. Convert it to free EXP, you have to pay for it. When you do this, is going to be when you finish playing a tank, you get enough experience to level the tank up, you might have extra experience that's going to show up over here. Or when you don't use the accelerated crew training option, your premium tanks are going to earn combat experience. They'll all be listed here. You can use this to research modules, level up your tanks, or for crew training. And it works out really well. It's a really good bonus. It's one of the best bonuses you can use in the game. However, you do have to pay for it, and it is expensive. To level up one crew member from first skill from 0% to 100% could easily cost you $100. That's how expensive it is. It's really expensive. So only use it if you're a millionaire. They do offer bonuses that do make it cheaper to do the conversions. As you can see, there's a percentage sign because there is a discount today. And what you can do is, if you do want to go that route, save up on your combat experience until there's a bonus, and when there's a bonus or a discount, use it then, and you'll get a better value. And the discounts tend to be on the holidays. Another technique I use is I put my lowest skilled crew members into my premium tanks, with the exception of the commander. In general, If it's under 50%, I load them in. If it's over 50%, sometimes I load them in, especially if it's in the 90% range. And I'm going to show you the procedure that I use when I start playing every day. I go through all of my tanks, and I send everybody to the barracks. So these are my Russian heavy tanks. There's a guy here who needs to go to the barracks, because we want to be able to pick out the perfect crew. And most of the crew is from a non-premium tank. I do have a few extra crew members that are not assigned to a regular tank. Okay, so they're all there, and then I pick a tank such as a KV-5. And I'm going to load the crew into this tank. I'm going to show you my selection process. Now I'm going to optimize for crew training. You'll notice I have a commander here at 91%, and there's another one at 79%, and another one at 22%. Because he's at 91% and I want him to get up to the next skill, I'm going to load him as my commander. And I often pick my best commander. Now for the gunner, I've got the one 4 skills at 93, I've got a 1 skill, and I've got the other one at 81. And I've got another one at 52. So we've got the 93, the 81, and the 52. The lowest one is the 52. The IS-2 here at the bottom. He's only got 52%. Therefore, he's going to get more benefit. As I explained before, people who have less skills get a bigger bonus because it takes less experience to move him up to the next level. So if I pick him, I'm going to get more value. And I will explain it again because I know it's difficult to understand. So we've got a 70%er there, and the 60 and the 82. I'm going to take the one with the 60. And I'm going to skip the IS-7 because he doesn't have BIA. So these guys that I'm loading in are the least skilled for what their primary training is. I believe I might only have one radio operator. Yeah, the Churchill. So I'm going to pull in that radio operator. Once I've completed this process, what I end up with is a premium tank, and all of my crew has the best commander, and everyone else is the weakest skilled crew members. And the reason why is because they're the ones that are going to level up faster. For every 1,000 crew EXP, they're going to advance faster through the skills. And it works out in the end. For example, to get to the first skill might require 250,000 EXP, but to get from the first to the second might require 500,000. So I'm leveling up where I get the most bang for my buck, and those are the people that have fewer skills. Everyone has a barracks which holds all of your crew members, including the ones that are not in a tank. And I happen to have 25 available bunks. I have quite a few. And some of them I've earned, and sometimes I've bought the extra bunks. But it's really valuable. And I'm going to show you some reasons why. If we look at some of these crew members, you can see this one says 92%. And when it says 92%, it means his training. It doesn't mean his skill. And his skill is at 34%, and that's 6 games with obviously the 550 experience per game. So he has some skill. And when I first started out, I deleted some crew members because I thought, oh, he's only got, 15% or 20%. But now I save all of them. Because what's going to happen is the more you play the game, the more tanks you're going to have. You're going to need crew members in the future. And it's better to start with somebody who already has some skill already trained than to start all over again from zero. There are a few issues with that. For example, there's training. And you'll notice that there's the rapid courses, the regiment, and the tank academy. I always pay for the tank academy. It's like, I don't know, I think it's 50 cents the cost of paying for it. But if you choose one of the other options, you'll notice that it's not always the same percentage. Sometimes you get the free at 50% or 60%, and it depends on various factors. For example, this crew member is for a heavy tank. If I put him into another heavy tank, I'm going to get a better deal. But if I switch him to a medium tank, you'll notice the percentage went down. And if I bring it back to a heavy tank, it goes back up from 56 up to 74. So if they go into the same class of tank, you're going to get a better deal when you do training for your crew. And I used to use the silver option. You can use it and obviously level your crew up to 100%. But that is one of the little things you want to know when you level up your crew. And I didn't find out until I played for a long time. I probably went thousands of battles before I figured that one out. You do have to be careful with the crew training. There is something that happened. It's hard for me to remember exactly what it was, but I think what happened was I put somebody into a tank that was not at 100%. And I had the option to increase his crew skill, which I did. But then when he got up to 100%, everything was lost. Everything that I invested into it was lost. I don't remember the situation that causes it, but it is possible that they fixed it. They may have made it so that you can no longer increase crew skills because of that bug. But it was definitely something that did happen in the past. I just can't remember what the case was. So be careful. Don't spend money on anything to increase the skill unless you're at 100% and everything is being done properly. Again, it may have been a bug that they already fixed, I don't know, but I do remember that something happened where I wasted some of my crew EXP and something reset it and then I ended up not getting it. This video is about crew experience and tracking and logging that I did to reverse engineer the crew experience formula used by the World of Tanks video game. And I came pretty close. There's one variable that's not in my formula. You'll notice in the diff column here that there's a lot of zeros, and the zeros means that my formula was correct. When it's off by a small amount, which I will explain. There's lots of variables that impact your crew experience, your base EXP, excuse me, your free EXP, the victory bonus, personal reserves, mentor, etc. However, there's an additional bonus. I'm not sure if it's from BIA or events or food consumables, but something in there gives you a little bit of an extra bonus. I think it was to the mentor skill. I'm not sure. However, I only track the commanders, and mentor does not affect the commander. But I have read that there are other little bonuses in there. And I've got these little numbers here and there that I was unable to account for, and I didn't always understand why. I used the same formula, so I should have came up with the same values. What I had to do was record the base EXP for the game and something called premium tier. Some tanks have a bonus because they're premium tanks. So for example, you could take a low tier tank like the Tehran, and I got a 448 bonus for playing the Tehran EXP, which is huge. So the premium tier bonus on some of the lower tier tanks is really worth it, and it's available on perhaps every premium tank. So I did come up with a formula, And it is pretty accurate. It uses the base EXP and the bonus for premium tanks. And from the base EXP, I calculate the free EXP. I calculate the victory bonus for the first victory per day, if there is one. And of course, free EXP from that victory bonus. And then I have something called premium crew, because premium tanks have 50% more crew EXP. Then there's also another option here, accelerated crew. For example, this crew member that I'm tracking might receive an extra bonus because I had accelerated crew training turned on. The next column is personal reserves for experience, and I did personal reserves for crew. I did personal reserves for free experience. The combat bonus, which means like if you kill 2 heavy tanks, they give you a 1.3 coefficient type of bonus. And then certain weekends, they have a double crew EXP. For example, this weekend we have that bonus. And then I came with a total crew EXP calculation. This is based on my formula. It's not based on World of Tanks. And then I compare that to what World of Tanks said that I earned. In many cases, I came up with a 0, which means that my formula is correct. In some cases, there were a slight difference, which means that there was an error in my formula, and in some cases, there was a little bit of a larger difference. There were a few errors that I came across. For example, this one, the error could have been something that a mistake that I made somewhere, misrecorded something, I don't know. But at some point, I came to my results, and when I came to my results, I was not too concerned about the errors, and I only did this for a few days. Now, basically, what I've learned is that the victory bonus on a 5 times victory was one of the best bonuses that you could get for crew experience. And personal reserves on that day also gives you one of the best bonuses. So as you can see, having a 5 times victory bonus plus personal reserves at 200% gave me a very large crew experience bonus. So with a base EXP of 929, I got over 15,000 crew EXP, which is, about 16 times greater than my base EXP. One of the things that I did learn from this experience is that there is something called Mentor, which I used to use on all of my commanders. It was always, after I got 6 cents, I would use Mentor because I wanted to train up my crew skills. But what I realized is that it was such a small bonus, only 10%. With the advent of personal reserves, it kind of makes Mentor not very useful anymore. I use personal reserves every game I play. Therefore, I no longer use Mentor. I also play a large number of premium tanks, and I almost always only play to get a victory bonus. So I get all these bonuses, and they all make Mentor have less of an impact, and therefore I removed Mentor from all of my commanders. There was a weekend when they had a discount on resetting crew skills, and I replaced it with something else such as Jack of all trades. So I'm going to go through real quick the methodology. The first column is the crew. So, for example, I have a Centurion 1 tank, and these are my British tanks. And this column over here is the tank that the crew was playing in. For example, there are obviously premium tanks, and sometimes I might use the tank crew in the same tank. An example will be down here with the Lorraine. In these 2 games, they were not played in premium tanks. They were played in the tanks. The crew were in the tank that they came from. So most of them were premium tanks, which is a technique I use to level up my crew faster. So at the start of every game, I would make a note of the commander experience. And at the end of the game, I would make note of the commander experience. And then I came up with the difference, like how much was applied to that crew member, and that is this column here. And then I had my formula, and I checked the difference. Obviously, the formula is not perfect. I'm not sure why there is a difference, but there were differences here and there. And again, once I came up with the answers that I wanted, the best way to train up my crew, I'm not too concerned about what other factors I'm missing here. So after I figured out that I could use the base EXP and the premium tier value, what I did was I created a formula based on these two columns. Basically what happens is you have your base EXP, which almost everything comes out of. However, premium tanks have a special bonus. For example, the Tehran, great bonus here. I have no idea why it's so big. And I was never able to figure out what the bonus calculation was. But every premium tank gets a different bonus, is one thing that I learned. So the Tehran might get a really good bonus, but another tank might get a different bonus. And I again, could not figure out why. So premium tanks, I don't know if every premium tank gets a special bonus, or some of them do, but if you look in the detailed results at the end of the game, you're going to see a column that says, here's a special bonus for premium tier vehicles. So those are the two values that I needed in order to formulate my entire computation. The other issue is sometimes I had a 2 times victory bonus, sometimes a 3 times victory bonus, sometimes a 5 times victory bonus, and sometimes there was no bonus. So the formula for one column might be a double or a triple or a 5 times. This one, for example, says times 4. That's a 5 times bonus, because you have the 4 here plus this here is the 5th. So I had to do that not only for the victory bonus, but also for the free EXP. Premium tanks get a 50% crew bonus. So I have another column for that crew bonus. But the question is, what is included in that? And I decided, based on my computations, that it came from the base EXP and the free EXP. The formula did not work for every tank, but it did work for some tanks. And because it was more reliable when I used it only with the base EXP and the free EXP, and therefore that's the formula I used. So there are going to be cases where the numbers don't add up. Can't explain why. But in general, I believe that the premium crew bonus, you get the 50% bonus from a premium tank, I believe comes from the base EXP plus the free EXP divided by 2, which is the 50%. I use accelerated crew training on any tank that permits it. So some tanks had accelerated crew training because the commander was the least skilled player. That gives you a great bonus. I mean, it's a 100%. It's a double bonus. It's a 100% bonus. However, it only affects one of your crew members, so I would not say it has the biggest impact on crew training. I did not use a lot of personal reserves when I did the testing, which is why these columns are mostly blank. But when I did, I discovered that the formula for calculating these is basically, for personal reserves, you just take your base EXP and you do the computation. For example, in this case, it looks like it was a 50% EXP. This one would have been 100%, and that one also. For the crew member, however, I had to use a more complicated formula. I had to add the base EXP the bonus for the premium tier vehicle, the free EXP, the free EXP for the victory bonus, and the 50% premium crew bonus. And then I would multiply it by the personal reserve. So if it was a 200% personal reserve, I would multiply it by 2, come up with that value. I don't know if it's the correct way to do it, but that's the formula that I settled on. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Personal reserve for free EXP, all I did was take the free EXP column and multiply it by whatever the personal reserve is. So if it was 200%, I would multiply it by 2. The combat bonus, I added in by hand. What probably happened was it was in the detail report, and I looked at the detail report, it gave what the combat bonus was, and I just added it in. As far as I know, that's probably how I added it. The 2 times crew experience. For this column, I took the base EXP and the bonus for being a premium tier vehicle, which you see in the detail report, and the free EXP, and added them all together, which doubles those values. And that's when I came up with some zeros. However, you'll notice that there was a case where it did not zero out. So, and here's another case where it did not zero out. So the formula might be wrong. Here's a case where it did, and here's a case where it didn't. But it looks like this line is missing an entry. And here's a case where it came close. So I didn't really perfect that particular formula. But what is odd is that this game only has 2 columns. It wasn't a premium vehicle, so you only had the base EXP and the free EXP, and that's it. So why wasn't I able to calculate it? It just doesn't make sense. The 2 times crew EXP doesn't work properly in this case. One of the mistakes I may have made is that I may have had an injured commander, which may have affected his crew experience, because an injured commander gets less crew experience. Okay, so after I did this little study for a couple of days, it's kind of difficult because sometimes you forget and then you got to recalculate some things. What I learned is that having a good game with a 5 times victory bonus, high EXP, 5 times victory bonus with personal reserves for crew experience, that's what made the big difference. That's where I got the big win over here, the 15,000. You'll notice that the personal reserve for EXP did not have a huge impact on crew experience. I was hoping that it would, but it did not. So if you're looking to train crew, you might want to not use the EXP personal reserves on premium tanks to train your crew. You might want to save that for regular tanks and perhaps use it with the personal reserves for crew on the regular tanks. I should add, I did make a mistake in my calculations. So what I just said is not entirely true. This is an example where my formula did not work properly. You'll note that with some of the others, it was close, but there's something that's a little bit off, and in this case it was really far off. But I still got the 10,000. So I'm not sure exactly what the formula is. I need to do some more testing. However, I do know that it does help to have personal reserves for crew. Even if you adjust the amount over and bring this down to 3,000, it's still a huge bonus. So if we adjust this for the possible error, a 200% personal reserve crew bonus appears to be equal to the amount of experience you get on a 5 times victory. So if you have a 5 times victory and you have 1,000 base EXP, so then it brings it up to 5,000, a 200% personal reserve is kind of equivalent. It might be between 4,000 and 5,000. So those 5 times bonuses are really good, but the 200% crew EXP is also really good for crew EXP on especially premium tanks. Did not do sufficient testing on non-premium. So I'm going to give you some other tips about training your crew. One of the things that I did is I bought every premium tank I could possibly buy. A lot of them are very cheap. Some of them are only $5. And having a lot of premium tanks means that when you get the 5 times bonus, you get lots of bonus. So what I did was I played only premium tanks with the 3 times and the 5 times bonuses and with the personal reserves, only to get the first victory. And it gave me great crew training. This is an overview of everything that I've learned about maximizing crew training. It's not in any particular order. Number 1, use the 0 skill BIA crew members. You will find them, obviously, as I discussed, buying certain tanks, such as the Berlin Quartet. Try to acquire the female crew members, which are in the personal missions or the campaign missions. Play premium tanks because they have a 50% crew EXP bonus. Play the tanks that have the largest crews, such as tanks that have 5 or 6 crew members. Use the mentor commander crew skill, especially in the lower tiers or on tanks where you have fewer skills. Play during the 3 times and 5 times first victory bonuses. Play during the 2-time crew training bonuses. Play on holidays and weekends. Only play for bonuses. Play tanks with the highest average EXP. Play higher tier tanks. Use free EXP on the lowest trained crew. Convert combat experience, which is very expensive. Train your commander the most. A commander that is trained more, for example, using mentor, can pass on his training to the rest of the crew. You get a little bit extra if he has mentor, for example. Play each mission bonus in the missions and specials. The missions are different every week and sometimes for only one day. Keep your crew alive and in perfect health. I'm going to fix the spelling. Use accelerated crew training. Train your lowest skilled crew first. Save all of your crew members. Play only premium tanks. And use personal reserves.